Yes, this is Friday, August 22nd, 2019. This is wildlife biologist Eric Orr with New Hampshire Fish and Wildlife. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. I keep forgetting to mention that, but I would appreciate if you would hit the subscribe button. So this morning, I was going through my diaries and I happened to come up with 2001. So what was happening in 2001? And I usually, try to look at about this time of year. Well, this one actually jumps to Monday, September 17th, a day I was duck banding. Did you know that in order to have a duck hunting season, the New Hampshire Fish and Game Department is obligated to band a number of ducks every year? And normally, I would say, 200 to 500 ducks are banded most years. There is a spring banding, a pre-season banding, which happens in this time of year, August into early September. And then there is a post-season banding after the duck season, generally in mid-January. So this would be pre-season banding in 2001 on Monday, September 17th. And I see here that that morning I met and as the regional wildlife biologist at the time, each of the four regions, Lancaster and Keene and New Hampton, Region 2 and Region 3 in Durham, we are each obligated to try to catch a number of ducks, as many as we can, to pre-season band and post-season band. And this particular day I met my assistant, Julie Robinson, and Steve Wheeler. We met in Farmington. And it says right here we caught 70 mallards that day. Typically about 10% of the ducks, because we band often the same sites year after year, maybe 10% have been banded before. And also at the same time, I notice here that I had what's called a confusion trap for ducks set down in Bear Brook State Park. It's basically a big cage with a funnel, and you pre-bait it for a week or two, get the ducks used to coming in, and then you close the top of the top door, and the ducks go in first thing in the morning, and I would get there early in the morning to see what I had caught. And down there I quite often caught wood ducks, which are hard to catch. They don't normally come. Now, how do we band ducks? Actually, we set up what's called a rocket net. It's basically a pie-shaped box it's a pie-shaped box, and you stuff the net, which is about 50 feet by 50 feet inside, and you lay 3 rockets on top. So for a week or so before or more, we would be putting grain out there, corn typically, to get the ducks used to feeding in that particular site. Then you'd put a dummy box or a pie-shaped box that's painted black to look like it has a nest in it, a net in it, and leave it there for another 4 or 5 days. And then the day before, you would set the rocket net box up, but we only put the rockets on. And it's 2-inch pipe or 3-inch pipe, about that big around and about this long, made out of heavy steel, because you are putting an explosive charge in it, with vents in the back, and you actually hook that to the front of the net. So you have the 3 rockets laying on top of this pie-shaped box with the net packed in below, and once the ducks come and they put their head down to feed, you fire the rocket net and it goes over and catches the ducks. And it's been in use for many years. It used to be cannon nets that were black powder would shoot a ball over with the net attached, but by the 80s we were using this more sophisticated rocket net that were being built by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So it says we caught 70 mallards that morning, and as I said, a number are typically banded. Some of these banded birds have been banded like 15 years before. The majority certainly don't live that long. But it's also looking at what else did I do that day. Well, I went from Farmington and I stopped down to OKQ, the radio station in Dover, where I had been doing since 1988 public service announcements. So I was doing 2 or 3 a month, and it says here I did 2 on hunting, about the upcoming hunting season. I did 2 PSAs that morning. They were 60-second PSAs. WOKQ would donate $100,000 a year of airtime to the New Hampshire Fish and Game Department for these public service announcements. Of course, they are obligated under the federal rules to do some, and luckily for the New Hampshire Fish and Game Department, they chose the Fish and Game to be to donate $100,000 worth of airtime a year, and I did it for a decade until I retired in 2007. So, thank you, WOKQ. They actually contributed over $1 million to the New Hampshire Fish and Game Department over a 10-year period. So that was after I caught the ducks. I went to WOKQ and recorded 2 PSAs. And then I went to the Bellamy River Wildlife Management Area to check on a brush hogging operation. Yes, as the regional biologist, I also was in charge of helping to make sure that our fish and game properties were properly managed for wildlife. And we would sometimes either have fish and game staff, or in this case, I think we contracted somebody to come and do brush hogging to maintain the fields. And I see at the end, I had a flat tire that day. So, you know, I record a lot in my diary. So that's what happened on Monday, September 17th, 2001. Don't forget to subscribe.